So this is going to be Ronan's birth video. Alright, so when we get into the story of Ronan's birth, you kind of have to understand, James and I are very untraditional or non-traditional. When I was pregnant with Logan, I've definitely followed like textbook, like what you do when you give birth, you know, go into the hospital and things like that. And when I got pregnant with Ronan, I just really started questioning everything because, you know, with my experience with Logan, since he was born breech, if his birth had not occurred the way it had occurred, and they had known he was breech beforehand, they would have given me an emergency C-section. And I was very scared of that, my second pregnancy. I didn't want anything to go wrong, and I felt like if we tried to do it in a traditional setting like a hospital, that there was just more chance of them trying to interfere when all I wanted to do was have a natural birth with no intervention whatsoever. So with Ronan, I actually went through a very, very long early labor process. I was stuck in prodromal labor with him for a month. It was not fun. At 34 weeks, I actually started getting very, very regular contractions. They came every single day. They would usually last for about 6 hours, and they would just come like every 6 minutes, and they got stronger in intensity but over a longer period of time, and they would, like, the next day I would get them again and they would just keep getting stronger, and then the next day I would get them again and they would just keep getting stronger. And it was pretty intense, and I didn't sleep a lot for that last month. We had a lot of like labor false alarms in that month, and we were planning on doing a home birth. So obviously, you know, if we had had him that early, it would have definitely interfered with our plans to do a home birth. So when I was 38 weeks and some days, like 2 or 3 days or something. It was October 1st, and I started getting contractions again, and at this point in my mind, I was so mentally exhausted from all of the false labor alarms. Like, I literally felt like he was never going to come out. I was so discouraged and so bummed out because I had been sure so many times that this was it, you know, that he was coming, and nothing happened. So I started getting contractions on October 1st, and of course we just kind of were gonna wait it out and see what started happening. So they definitely started getting more intense. And James and I just pretty much went on walks and played cards. We took Logan to my mom's, and Cassie stayed at the house. I think she may have went to her grandma's, I'm not sure. No, she stayed at the house, that's right. Around, like, I don't know. I mean, it was that whole, I was in labor, real labor with Ronan, for a total of 31 hours. That's from the time that my contractions started on October 1st and then ended with his birth on October 2nd. And it was like really, really early October 1st, like early in the morning. So a total of 31 hours. That entire 31 hours was like full-on labor, because what initially happened when I was in labor, when I was in early labor for that month, was the intensity kept building up and building up. And so when I started getting contractions on October 1st, it wasn't like the start of labor pains. It was like full-on freaking labor pains. So let's see, I want to say around he was born at 9:29, I think. Around 4 p.m. or something, I just like went into the bedroom and sat in the dark basically, and was just trying to get into like my mindset, you know, just calm my body down and just get this baby out. So around that time, I want to say maybe closer to 5-ish, I started noticing that I was spotting. And I mean, I was expecting to spot, or, you know, for there to be a little bit of blood at least, you know, giving birth and all. But, so I just, you know, took a note of it and went on with my deal. Around probably 7, it started getting more blood, you know, noticeable blood, like, not like period amount of blood, but just more definite blood. So the pain was getting pretty bad, and I was like, well, I'll just get in the bathtub. So I got in the bathtub and was sitting in the bathtub in the dark by myself, just like getting into my zone. And I got out, and I want to say it was like 8:30 at that point, but I reached down and I could feel my bag of waters like bulging out of my cervix. So I knew stuff was happening, and that officially that he was on his way. So that made me feel a lot better. But this is when it started getting really intense, like super, super, super intense. And I was having horrible back labor. Like when I felt a contraction, it was in my back. And it wasn't like a contraction and then a break and then a contraction. It just became this one huge long contraction. And then I started noticing that there was blood running down my legs because I was on the bed and, you know, I was just doing my thing, having contractions, and it started running down my legs. And again, it wasn't too much blood, but I mean, it was blood nonetheless. And then in my mind, you know, in my weakened, vulnerable state, I was like, well, what if something's wrong? We don't have a Doppler here. How are we going to hear his heartbeat to know he's okay? And then I just started psyching myself out. And so I told James, I was like, well, let's go to the hospital. We were planning on doing a natural, unassisted home birth. But we were like, you know what? Let's just go to the hospital. There's blood, you know. Let's be safe about it. So we got in the truck, and again, just contractions coming strong. We got to the hospital in a matter of minutes because James is awesome. And they come out with the emergency room exit with the little wheelchair or whatever, and I get in there, and I have a blanket wrapped around me, and I'm butt naked. We get into their like emergency labor room, and I get on the bed, and there is immediately like 10 ladies around me. There's one asking if she can draw my blood. There's another asking if she can strap a fetal monitor to my stomach, and there's this big light shining on me. And in that second, like, I just remember thinking this was a mistake. I shouldn't have come to the hospital. Like, immediately I felt so overwhelmed with stress, and just, oh, it was horrible. And so I told the lady off that was trying to stick a needle in my arm while I'm having contraction after contraction, and I just told them basically to go away. I got on my hands and my knees, of course, and my water broke. I had a contraction, I pushed, and my water broke. And then it was on from there. I lifted my leg up, one of the ladies held my leg, and then he just came on out in a matter of, again, like 2 pushes. He came out head first, and yeah, it was amazing. When the nurse set him on my chest, there was another nurse behind her, and I felt her grab my umbilical cord and just start like messing with it. And I remember looking at her, and I was just like, don't pull on that, what are you doing? She's like, I'm not pulling on it. And then another lady came up behind her, and she was like, okay, Zoe, I'm gonna press on your stomach to help get your placenta out. And I was just like, no, and just pushed, and it came out. She was like, or not. So they pretty much everyone left except for like 2 nurses, and then we put a blanket around him and he latched right on and we nursed, and yeah, he came out weighing 5 pounds 14 ounces, I think. And he was, I want to say he was 18 inches long as well as Logan. But yeah, that was, both of my births have been definitely different. Great experiences in of themselves for different reasons. I had both of the boys were natural, non-medicated deliveries. What's up, man? Both of them are breastfed, or were breastfed. Logan was breastfed. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else to say. That's pretty much the end of the story. It's the end of story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and we shall see you next time for our next video. Bye.